Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. No, I'll stand my ground. Won't be turned around. And I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Gonna stand my ground. And I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. Hey, I stand my ground, and I won't back down. And I'll do what's right. I got just one life, and I'll keep this world from pushing me around. Gonna stand my ground, and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. Hey, I stand my ground, and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. Hey, I stand my ground, and I won't back down. No, I won't back down.
Hey guys, it's 5 p.m. on Sunday night. Welcome to Collective Church's live liturgy. I'm Ben Collins. With me is Lily Lose, making her debut. If you don't know Brandon and Mary, you probably haven't seen the pictures on Facebook in the last few days, but they just welcomed baby Lily a minute ago.
On
Wednesday. Mary's going to be in and do a reading for a little bit. Brandon's been producing video for us for the live stream for a while. And we're talking this Advent season about the vulnerability of God with us. There's already a lot of baby imagery around Advent, but particularly this year, and even more so tonight. And it just so happened that the timing worked out so that Lily could be with us. So we wanted to introduce you to her, and we wish that we could introduce her to you all soon enough. Baptism someday soon. So welcome along to Collective. Thank you so much for coming. I'm just going to let her chill here, if that's cool, while we do our thing. Man, a participant in the liturgy from quite a young age. The work of the people, Lily is here to make me look good. Oh man, I'm just seeing myself on this video, and that looks like a toy baby. This is real, I promise. This is not a doll, this is a human child. And her name is Lily. And I did want to say a hello to Dan Hensley and Heather and Doug and Angela Keller. Waylon is on. Hey Waylon, good to see you. Jim Kane, hey Jim. Jay is back with us. Jay lost his mother-in-law, Sue's mom, recently, and has been going through a lot handling that. Jay, we're so glad that you're back with us tonight. Great to see you. Dan Hensley asks, who stole Christmas? Peggy Fox is with us also. Peggy, how's it going? So great to see you guys on here, for you guys to be able to see each other. We're really thrilled that we can do this live and connect in this way on Sunday nights. So thanks so much for coming along. We have a lot going on, so let me run through some of this. You can sign up for the weekly. It would help if I sent a weekly email. I hope to be doing that more regularly, but you can do that at wearecollectivechurch.com. In the very near future, there will be a weekly email coming back at you. Brandon's actually going to help me do that in the new year. So there's going to be accountability. People are going to help figure things out. We do have yoga this week. Sarah, our yogi from the Road Ohm. Hey, little girl. Hey, it's okay, I'll stop shouting. Sarah will share a video from her page at the Road Ohm. We'll try and share it also from the Collective page. That's Monday nights at 6:30. So start the week out right, get flexible. We are also going to have on Tuesday at 4, as always, Work of the People. This is our crowdsourcing liturgy group where we get together, we talk theology, we talk sermons, we review the prior week's liturgy, and then we work through texts and subjects and questions together, and we crowdsource a sermon and we crowdsource the work of the people, and we invite the congregation into those liturgies. And then Dan mentioned last week when he was with us that Collective Cares is going to be doing a fundraiser wrapping Christmas gifts this Thursday because I have an in with Dan Hensley. Thanks for that, Dan. We've gotten some Christmas presents to Dan already, so he can begin wrapping on our behalf. So Dan, feel free to share any details about what's going on with Collective Cares this week and any more about the gift wrapping stuff. They are going to be gift wrapping to raise money for Collective Church, I believe starting at 6 or 6:30 that evening. So you can bring your gifts by, they'll wrap them. I think that maybe the best way to put it is that their wrapping is going to be fabulous. You know Dan, it's going to be, you saw the example he gave you last week of a gift that he wrapped for me. It's going to be amazing. So why not come by, give a gift, help do some fundraising for Collective by supporting Collective Cares. Oh, hey, baby girl. Stealing the show. That's okay. I promise you there's nothing more important that I'm saying than just you being here and being alive. Good job. Excellent. Nap on that. Honest Advent, the gallery, oh, I gotta stop shouting. The gallery is gonna be back open this week, starting on Thursday from 1 to 8. We had some events that have been booked, but as you can imagine, things change rapidly in COVID, so we got to cancel some of those this week, and maybe we will have some more availability. We're thinking after the new year to make sure everyone gets through the gallery, but if you would do your part to help us spread the word about that, if you found the promo video for Honest Advent, if you could share that, if you could like it, you can also go to the YouTube page, you can subscribe there, and you can also find the entire slew of Honest Advent virtual experiences. Feel free to use those to spread the word, share with your friends, share with your family this holiday. They don't even have to come to the theater to experience Honest Advent, but we would love them to be there. If there's a way that they can, it will be safe, social distance, all that good stuff. So that is all really good stuff coming up. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wearecollectivechurch. Thanks for finding us again here on Facebook with the Facebook Live. Hey there to the Dones. Hey, David Gomez watching, a blast from the past. What's up, Dave Gomez? Rob Doan is on here with his family, Ginger. Great to see you. Marilyn, Advent blessings. Awesome. Hey, Marilyn. Hey, Kirsten Doan also on. Fantastic. Great to see you guys. This is baby Lily. For those of you who are just tuning in, this is baby Lily Los. I have to imagine lots of people are tuning in because they scrolled by and they saw me sitting here holding a baby. So we're not above cute tactics to pull you into church, I guess, is the moral of the story. All right, where are we? We're getting off task. So welcome along again to Collective. As always, your presence makes us who we are. Even you, your presence makes us who we are. Check out our community statement.
We value highly the metaphor of journey.
We're different people from different places and backgrounds.
Representing a multi-generational community, and we travel different paths.
So we agree not to make assumptions about the person across from us,
Next to us.
Or in conversation with us.
We challenge ourselves to be sensitive.
knowing this community includes a diverse group of people.
From lifelong followers of Jesus
to people who are just now open to the idea that God might exist.
strive to avoid offense.
Ask good questions.
Articulate and explain our responses.
We don't assume fluency in the Bible.
Spirituality or church language.
Because we believe the message of Jesus is not for Christianity, but for humanity.
So we do everything in the spirit of love and grace.
We do everything in the spirit of love and grace.
In the spirit of love and grace.
Everything in the spirit of love
and grace.
So we do everything in the spirit of love and grace.
"2020 was an absolute parade of misery, according to my favorite comedy newsman, John Oliver. We started the year with Australia on fire. Kobe Bryant died, and it seemed like America was going to go to war with Iran. That was all before COVID and things got much worse. We had mass unemployment, evictions on top of the already existing affordable housing crisis right here in Volusia County in our own backyard. We lost the true king of Wakanda. John Lewis made his last journey across the bridge, and we laid down the pearls of the notorious RBG. There were murder hornets, orcas attacked Spanish yachts, kids were put in cages by our government. But the year wasn't without its gifts. We met Joe Exotic and Carol Baskin. This year ruined lives. Dreams, jobs, concerts, sanity, mental health on individual and societal levels. We experienced a new wave of grotesque videos of police brutality that brought on a national apocalypse around race and the collusion between white supremacy and power in our land. A grim presidential circus, the result, the outcome, regardless. The process made the country so much worse. Money in politics, politics in healthcare, civil rights in the courts in turmoil. Maybe we can't even organize the lies enough to call them conspiracy theories at this point. But then Christmas comes and we're supposed to just downshift.
But then Christmas comes and we're supposed to just downshift into Emmanuel, God is with us, tinsel lights and warm, happy feelings. What about the vulnerability of God with us? Feels like maybe this year more than recently, it's time for an honest Advent. Not one where we struggle to force our religious ideas into the 2020 story in a way that makes sense, because for many people 2020 doesn't make sense and it doesn't feel like God is with us. More like one of Jesus' most famous sayings, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Maybe it doesn't make sense, but maybe it does feel honest. We need an Advent that makes space for the way you feel, even though none of this makes sense. We need an Advent that can be honest, both about the hope that God is with us and God is with us, and the truth that that is so complicated. God is with us, and it's complicated. Welcome to Honest Advent.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's Ben from Collective Church. This is Lily Lose with me, one of our newest liturgists. Hey Stephen Sharon, thanks for coming along. Paige, great to see you as well. Hey Nicole, how's it going? Great to see you. Kenny, what's up? Amber, great to see you. Jackie, I assume maybe also there. Hey Bill and Joy, great to see you guys. Really great to see you guys. Welcome along. We got the chat up and we're going to be jumping over to Zoom after the service. This is baby Lily, and her big brother Houston is right here. You probably can't see him on screen, but he's a very protective dog. So that's Honest Advent. Again, you guys can share that if you want to help people understand what we're doing. They can come and experience the gallery right downtown. It's all free. It's safe. You can come and actually do something in person. So check out those dates. That's on Facebook. There's also the virtual experience on the YouTube page, youtube.com/wearecollectivechurch. Thanks to 3 Button Media and Brandon for putting together the virtual experience. It's really something special. You can really see every single one of the art pieces in its setting at the gallery at the church, and there is both like a 3-minute-ish meditative version with no voiceover. Then there's also a corresponding one for each with a voiceover that was provided by myself and Heather. I'm trying to think, and Mary, right? Yes. So it's really great. Go to the YouTube page, check that stuff out. If you're unable to be in the gallery, but if you can get to the gallery, if you feel safe doing it, really, really highly recommend giving that a chance. We are going to extend that into January in some form or fashion so that people can get through there. As we downshift into our meditation tonight, we're going to pull up one of the pieces of artwork called Motherhood, and keep in mind that our themes tonight are going to be sort of around love and embodiment, and motherhood seems to be one of those things, not just because I'm holding this brand new baby, but motherhood seems to be one of those things in the Christmas story, in the infancy narratives of Jesus that seems to be able to hold those things together. So, hey Houston. So I'm going to be just blissfully sitting here with baby Lily for 3 minutes and probably ignoring this meditation, but you feel free to enjoy it. And let's take some cleansing breaths and find some centering, find some peace, a little spiritual sorbet before we move into some of the content in the sermon tonight. Feel free to use these resources, but also if you need silence, we gotta plug a computer in. Can you get it? Oh, I got it. Hey, baby Lily. Everybody online is like, don't drop the baby. She's a great sleeper, guys. You got no idea. Look. Well, right now, yeah, sorry. Right, I get to leave after this, so yeah, you guys have her all night. So we're going to spend about 3 minutes with motherhood. Feel free to use these resources. Take some breaths. Let's meditate together for about 3 minutes.
Motherhood. In pain you will bring forth children. Genesis 3:16. So many wonderful theological ideas are displayed in this image that imagines the meeting of these two matriarchs of faith and what that intimate moment may have been like. But take a minute and consider the look that Mary and Eve have for each other. It's like they're at a cosmic party where they don't know each other at first, but when they get introduced, they find out that they are deeply connected on so many levels. They also notice they have 1 billion mutual friends on Facebook. In this incredible image, Eve is experiencing hope and grace from a brokenness she never thought she'd see an end to. Yet her face could also be that of a knowing mom, bestowing wisdom and compassion on a new mom, as if to say, parenting is one of the greatest and hardest adventures of a lifetime. You'll love your children and want to have them forever, but you may see one of them die before their time, and it's the absolute worst. Consider the little that has been written about Eve has been used against her by male chauvinists. In the flannel board story of her life, she gets 2 paper cutouts, biting an apple, and then being cursed as the first mom to go through painful childbirth. That's it. We don't talk about how hard it must have been to do something for the first time. No guides, no mentors, no mommy blogs with tried and true strategies for maintaining sanity. It's easy to knock down the forerunners of human living who made mistakes. It's harder to pierce through the one-dimensional religious narratives and see that every mom has the unbelievably challenging task of raising her children the best she can. Mary takes the hand of Eve and places it on her belly to let her feel the hidden manifestation of the restoring hope that is growing in her womb. And yet it's also the movement of sobering solidarity, accepting the entrance into the great cloud of witnesses, of broken-hearted moms who've lost their children too early. This art opens a small window into what that conversation might be like. That Emmanuel means God with us, and that this divine gift comes to us through one of us, into the womb of a blessed and humble teenage woman, and honors and dignifies the sacrificial, and wholly involved life of being a mom. Whether you're a mother or not, may you learn from the courage of Eve and Mary, who found themselves in complicated first-time situations. And may you bestow on your very own first-time situations the same grace, kindness, and honor we give to them.
This pain, I wonder if I'll ever find my way. I wonder if my life could really change at all. All this earth, could all that is lost ever be found? Could a garden come up from this ground at all? You make beautiful things, you make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things, you make beautiful things out of is springing up from this old ground. Out of chaos, life is being found in you. You make beautiful things, you make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things, you make beautiful things out of us. You make beautiful things, you make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things, you make beautiful things out of us. Make me new, you are making me new. You make me new, you are making me new. You're making me new, you make me new. You are making me new. You're making me new, you make me new. You are making me new. You make beautiful things, you make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things, you make beautiful things out of us.
Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. This is how love is made complete or mature among us, so that we will have confidence on the day that justice comes. In this world, we are like Jesus. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not yet made mature in love. We love because God first loved us. Whoever claims to love God, yet hates a brother or sister, is a liar. For whoever does not love their brother and sister whom they have seen cannot love God whom they have not seen. And he has given us this commandment, God has. Anyone who loves God must also love their brother and sister. This is from the letter of 1 John chapter 4. Those words may be familiar. We did a whole series on this letter a number of years ago. The thing I want to point out in the text initially is that for the community of John, the community that produced this letter, there's a connection for them between love and God, obviously. That's where we go to this passage. We'll live in this passage, I'm sure, in the spring. We're going to do a whole series on love because we talk so often about it. School of love, the way of love, the practice of love. But God is love. But what do those things mean? How do those bear out? Hey, baby. So the text not only ties together God and love, but really what we're going to talk about tonight in connecting God and embodiment is that it connects God and love and being seen. Being seen. If you remember back in our series on affordable housing, Just Shelter, I interviewed Father Phil, and Father Phil said that sort of the tagline of Lourdes in Daytona is effectively that if they're going to love the God they can't see, it had better begin with the neighbor that they can see. That's inspired by this text. This text connects love and God, but not just love and God, love God and somehow being seen and who we see and the ability to see our neighbors. We're going to come back to affordable housing and deal with that because I think that's a part of having a body. And the vulnerability of having a body is needing a house. And we've talked at length about affordable housing. The other text that I want to share tonight that we reflected on Tuesday is from the prophet Isaiah. And it's talking about a figure, a transformative agent. And I shared this quote last week from Jim Kane about sort of the anticipation of transformative agents. And that around the time of Jesus, not just religiously, but politically, it was a time where people were anticipating and expecting a transformative agent that would come in on their behalf. Some would think it was an agent of God or a political agent, but someone that would come in and transform things for the common good, for the common man, for everybody. And so this is a figure that in the Jewish consciousness was thought of as like the Son of Man or the suffering servant. So Isaiah the prophet says this, he grew up before him, so he's talking about the servant grew up before God like a tender shoot and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. So in the time of the prophet Isaiah, this was sort of this ecstatic, mystical, spiritual kind of anticipation of God's transformative agent. So hundreds of years later, Jesus comes along, and in the wake of Jesus' life and ministry and death and resurrection, the writers of the Gospels, the writers of the New Testament, they come to connect these prophetic texts like from Isaiah and say these were about Jesus. These were about this new transformative agent who is finally going to come and make things right. And part of what we want to focus on this evening, and we're going to look at a couple of pieces of art, is the way that these intersections of love and God with us and having a body, being a person, being embodied, how complicated that is. Because remember, we're talking about the honest advent is that God is with us, but it's complicated. And so this isn't a sermon as much as it is a meandering through our own contradictions, a meandering through some of the complications in our own life. And I think that's what art does so powerfully, is it invites us not to try to make sense of things and fit everything in the category, but to finally be honest with ourselves. And art can be like a mirror, where we can look at it and we can see things about ourselves. If we're not always asking, what does it mean, or how do I make sense of it, but instead we can just for a moment allow it to do something to us. We can ask, how does it make us feel? How does it make us feel? Let's begin, I think, with vulnerability again. And just consider this, the potential in this image. So one of the things that the artist and the author reflects on regarding this connection between God and love and having a body, being a physical material being, is and this comes back to the affordable housing thing, is the idea that once you have a body, you're confined by the reality of space. All of a sudden, once you're in a body, you can experience the scarcity of space. You can experience there not being enough room or there not being enough space. It's been half an hour. There's our chime. In the image that we already saw, and Brandon, if you can go back to motherhood, you've got these women standing side by side. And I know a couple weeks ago we talked about connecting with this image through like our visceral experience of the courage it takes to do something for the first time. And we talked about sort of my recovery journey and how hard it is to do things for the first time and how important it is that a sponsor helps me to identify when I'm doing something for the first time and how hard that can be for my triggers. That stuff is so vulnerable. We talked about that a few weeks ago. What I want to point out tonight and invite us to feel is this reflection that Genesis, the story that begins the Bible, begins with an eviction. The divine landlord says there's no more room in the garden. There's a way of reading it in which the original family is broken, right? Eve is standing there, the first victim of eviction from the divine garden. And then you find Mary and Joseph with no room at the inn. There's no room, and what we find is there's no room in her family for her complicated situation, right? It's not that the Holiday Inn Express is sold out, and it's not that, she could go over to mom and dad's house, but they're already hosting, Uncle Jack and Aunt Sue, and you can't have a baby around them. The issue is they were in a complicated situation with an unwed mother with these questionable circumstances in the sense that they experienced, at least according to the story, is that there wasn't room for them. There wasn't room for their messy, complicated, embodied human life, even in their own family. And so there's that spiritual reflection about how it is that we experience this in our personal lives and in our families, but then there's also a systemic reflection, right, about affordable housing. John says, if we love one another, right, love comes from God, we have to help the neighbor we can see. We have to help the neighbor we can see. We have to create ways for people who have bodies to take care of those bodies. Because part of the way that God is with us is in our bodies, right? That's why there's value in an anatomically correct pre-birth image of Mary and the baby Jesus. That's why there's value in this image of Mary breastfeeding Jesus and us considering, again, not how special Jesus is, but how human God is, right? Jesus breastfeeding isn't about the divinity of Jesus. Jesus breastfeeding is about the humanity of God. What it feels like, right? This sweet space, having a baby resting on you, that's that space between humanity and divinity. So Freddie and I and a bunch of people from Faith, we got to have this amazing meeting with Mayor Apgar this week. We won some really significant support from him to support us in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund so that we can not just in our spiritual reflection and our community practice, but in our justice work, We can carry the messages from our liturgy, the work of the people, into the streets, that we can make justice happen in our community, that we can create affordable housing for people who have bodies but don't have houses for those bodies. I got to share that this morning with Mosaic Unitarian, and they shared that they had been involved in faith in years past, but in the recent history had not been involved, and they're going to get back involved because of what I shared about what's going on with affordable housing. Guys, all of this to say, these are these really complicated places where God and love and being embodied in such a way that we can be seen, which means we also have to be housed, we also have to be fed, we also have to be held and cared for. These are all tied together in Advent. These are all tied together in the vulnerability of incarnation. All right, what other images do we have that we haven't looked at yet? Oh, yeah, whew, some good ones. So let's look at with Mary just having given birth. Not this Mary in the room, but Mary, the mother of the Lord. And consider this reflection from the artist and the author. In the context of this image, love comes to us without us earning it. Think about that for the baby and for the mother. Love comes to us without us earning it. Love is another name for participating in our world. That means feeling things. That means being here. That means suffering the ecstasy and the pain of being present in this life. To be a Christian, as best I understand it, and look, I know I'm wrong. Not just I'm probably wrong, I know I'm wrong. To be a Christian is to wrestle your entire life learning how to receive love rather than earn it. And I think when you see this image of Mary just having given birth, holding the Christ child, it's an image of both in the relationship having received a love that neither of them could earn. That neither of them could earn. Incarnation is the process, Advent is the name of the season of becoming seen. Right? That's what we're talking about, is that in Jesus of Nazareth, this very human man, in Jesus of Nazareth, God, who we can't see, became seen. We got to see what it would look like if God were embodied. If a human were so spiritually saturated that it was as if God were living through them, that the Spirit of God flowed through them. Incarnation is the process of becoming seen. To be seen is to allow yourself to be known. To be seen is to allow yourself to be known. To be known is to risk being loved or not. To be known is to risk being loved or not. I think for the last image, I'm going to invite Mary to come, and she's going to sit here and offer a reading. I feel like you should probably hold Lily, right? I can hold my kid. You can hold, but you don't have to, because I heard that. She goes, I can hold my kid. Already parenting. Well, why don't you just come and sit and read then? I'll take this baby.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Mary.
Fit in here.
Sometimes I wonder if Mary breastfed Jesus, if she cried out when he bit her, or if she sobbed when he wouldn't latch. Sometimes I wonder if this is all too vulgar to ask in a church full of men without milk stains on their shirts or coconut oil on their breasts, preaching from pulpits off limits to the Mother of God. But then I think of feeding Jesus, birthing Jesus, the expulsion of blood and smell of sweat, the salt of a mother's tears, onto the soft head of the salt of the earth. Feeling lonely and tired and hungry, annoyed, overwhelmed, loving. And I think if the vulgarity of birth is not honestly preached by men who carry power but not burden, who carry privilege but not labor, who carry authority but not submission, then it should not be preached at all, because the real scandal of the birth of God lies in the cracked nipples of a 14-year-old, and not in the sermons of ministers who say women are too delicate to lead.
Whoo-wee. Thank you, Mary.
It's kind of close to home.
That was I think the other way we could say this is that what I had to say was just a long preamble to a great sermon. Thank you, Mary. Oh, and you too, Lily. Hey. Squeaking, and Houston's very interested. Hello. Oh, the thing that makes the most sense to me to sort of tie these together is that incarnation is a part of the name of how we experience God with us in the totality of human existence, which is from the birth that Mary just described and experienced and that Lily just experienced, all the way to the grave, which is the counterpoint, the other side of the Christian tradition, the joyful facing of the certainty of mortality, the certainty of impermanence, the goodness of life because it won't last forever. The gift and the curse of being a person who can connect with God and connect with love because we are embodied beings. The gift and the curse is that bodies come with mortality. They come with expiration dates. Today, June was, and we talk about death a lot. June was in the back of the car singing to herself. She's writing songs all the time, humming along to herself as she plays her tablet. And she starts to repeat this really cool melody around that she's gotta die. She keeps singing, she's gotta die, and it starts making Huck uncomfortable, so he starts going, you gotta stop singing that, stop singing, you're gonna die. And I thought it was just this beautiful microcosm of who we are and what we're trying to do and how we exist in the world, is that we wanna be people who can sing joyfully about the reality of mortality so that we can live well in these days and in these moments that we have. But we live in a culture that says, stop singing that, stop acknowledging that, stop admitting that, right? Because if we just all pretend we'll live forever, then we can delude ourselves into something, I don't know. So what's also going on in the midst of this Advent season where babies are being born, and my great friends David and Megan Killingsworth, I think that they're having their baby today as well. I mean, I would say COVID babies are coming due. COVID babies are being born. And at the same time, you guys probably saw Jen Stevenson's grandmother died this week of COVID. I got a message from my dad this morning that says, effectively, my grandmother's time on this planet is not much longer. We're talking about probably 24 to 72 hours, somewhere in that range. We know that Jay, who we love so much, that he's been suffering through the loss of his mother-in-law, of Sue's mother. Part of what it means to be people, and I think maybe this is the honest Advent, is that I'm manipulating you, right? You know I'm manipulating you. It's not hard to sell Christmas when I'm holding a baby, right? It isn't hard to sell incarnation. It isn't hard to sell embodied love when it's this kind, when it's fresh, and it's perfect, and it hasn't been corrupted. But I don't want you guys, it's been 2020, you've lived with lies all year. I don't want to be deceptive. I don't want to manipulate you. And so incarnation has to come with the flip side of that promise, which is where we come to the Eucharist and to the open table, which is at the other side of being born into a body, into the gift of discovering God and discovering love in our bodies and the sensual reality of being a human being, is that we also know that death is a part of that. We know that Jen's grandmother would eventually die, that my grandmother will eventually die, that Jay's mother-in-law would eventually die, that we all will experience that. And part of what we say very often in this congregation is that that's not a curse, guys, that's a gift. That's one of the gifts of incarnation, is to live well because we live with the truth of impermanence. You know, how many more times in my life will I get to sit with a baby on my lap like this who makes that noise? How many more of those moments do I get? Is life only good? Is incarnation only real? Is God only with us if I get that moment forever in an unending way? No. Incarnation, God with us, is that I'm present enough that even though I'm giving a sermon, I realize what just happened. That was it. That it just happened just then, that God was with us, with this baby making a sound. The Rabbi Yehuda Halevi says this, and I'll give you these words as we consider the open table and open it to all. 'Tis a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, to hope, to dream, to be, oh, and to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love, for your life has lived in me. Your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings painful joy. 'Tis a human thing to love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. As we come to the open table tonight, let us consider that without being born into this vulnerable, fragile, complicated human baby body, Jesus could not have grown to be a man who taught us to face death with courage. But both in being born and in dying nobly, we become people who are seen, who can be known, who can be loved, and who can belong. The table of this incarnational, seeing, knowing, loving God with us. In all of its complication, this table is open for us tonight. It's set for us and for all people, and no one will ever be turned away. The streets are filled with laughter and light, and the music of the season, and the merchants' windows are all bright with the faces of the children and their families. They hurry into their homes while the sky darkens and freezes. We'll be gathering around our hearths and tables, giving thanks for God's graces and the birth of the rebel Jesus. Well, they call him by the Prince of Peace, and
and they call him by the Savior, and they pray to him upon their seas, and in every bold endeavor, and they fill their churches with their pride and gold as their faith in him increases. But they've turned the nature that I worship in from a temple to a robber's den. In the words of the rebel Jesus, well, we guard our world with locks and guns. We guard our fine possessions. And once a year when Christmas comes, we give to our relations, and perhaps we give a little to the poor, if the generosity should seize us. But if any one of us should interfere in the business of why there are poor, they get the same as the rebel Jesus. Pardon me if I have seemed to take the tone of judgment, for I've no wish to come between this day and your enjoyment. In the life of hardship and of earthly toil, there's a need for anything that frees us. So I bid you pleasure and I bid you cheer from the heathen and the pagan, on the side of the rebel Jesus. Thanks so much, Fred.
Hey guys, David, I saw your post just now. They just received word that one of their best friends in Chicago has passed away. That's the sermon tonight, guys, is that, you know, of course, we flock to God as love. We flock to Christmas for the cooing babies. But incarnation also comes with burying our friends. And again, not as a threat, not that it's a curse, that can amplify our resolve to live now, to be present in these moments that we do have. You can sign up for the weekly. You can give to Collective at wearecollectivechurch.com. I didn't get to give my NPR-style pitch at the beginning. The bottom line is, it's been a rough year on everybody. It's been a rough few years for Collective. And I also was sitting down this week and thinking about the fact that for the most part, we haven't missed a Sunday. We've really made an attempt to be with you guys as often as possible, to be live. Very infrequently do we do a pre-recorded service because we think this is important. We think it's important that you hear from us every week, that we have an opportunity to connect every week, and that's not free, as you guys know. To give you a little insight into that, we had booked 4 events for December. Should have been somewhere between $5,000 and $8,000 in revenue, and as you can imagine, because of COVID, things change, and things with the very best intentions change, and they change because we want to keep people safe. We're not going to exploit revenue to get people in the building in a way that is unsafe, but that also means that we're missing a ton of revenue. I think that what we're doing is incredibly important. I give a little bit over $400 a month of my money, which comes out to around 10% of my salary, because I think what we're doing is incredibly important. I'm not asking you to do that. I don't think God needs you to do that. All I'm saying is I think what we're doing is vitally important in a time where the world needs it, and it's not free. So our commitment is to continue coming to you, to create liturgies, hopefully to add some more groups and places to connect. And what we're asking is that if this is meaningful and valuable to you, put your money where your mouth is. Help us support it and do it. We really would appreciate that. So collectivegives.com, wearecollectivechurch.com. You can give either of those places. Again, you do your part, sign up for the email. I'll do my part, and I'll actually create an email. Brandon will help. He's committed. Our benediction tonight is actually going to be sort of a reflection for our Advent candle. So if you've got your care packages, you can pull a candle out. If you didn't get one, just light a candle if you've got it, or hold a candle in your mind's eye. I'm not going to light a candle while I'm holding a baby, but a baby is better than a candle, so I'm just going to let her shine. But what I did here is I took a quote that I shared a few weeks back from a guy called Don Cupit. And I replaced, he was using this as sort of a metaphor for the sun. And I'm going to do it with a candle, but I think it still works. Hey, sweet girl. So she's lighting. So the candle symbolizes the religious ideal of a full synthesis of death and life. Because the very burning, which is the candle's living, is also and identically its dying. The candle's very existence is a unity of vitality and mortality. It burns and burns out. It expends itself gloriously. It lives not by thriftily saving away, but by recklessly giving itself away. God in our vulnerability, God is with us, but it's complicated. As a symbol of our intention, let's bring our hands together. I'm going to bring mine together with baby Lily. First to our foreheads for clarity of thought, then to our lips for clarity of speech, masked for our neighbors, though they may be, and then to our hearts for clarity of action, so that in all that we say and do, love, the kind of love that's connected to God in human bodies, love would be our first thought, our first word, and our first deed. Grace and peace, we would love to chat with you. I would love to introduce you in person to baby Lily in just a moment. You can probably say hi to Mary as well and Brandon. We're going to be jumping over to the Zoom link that was just shared in the chat, I believe, a moment ago. So grace and peace. We'll see you all next week.